Do you remember back in the day when I was super adamant that I would probably use paper minis forever? Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Black Magic Craft. This week I am stepping away from terrain slightly and I'm going to do a project that relates more to miniatures. Well, not more to miniatures, it just like entirely 100% relates to miniatures. A little while ago I picked up some Reaper Bones minis of just some commoners, bartenders, bar wenches, whatever, just stuff to use in town situations. And when I based them, I didn't want to put them on like a rocky, sandy, grassy kind of base. I wanted them to have like a tavern floor, like a wood plank floor. And this is something that I see all the time on minis and I think it looks great. I know that there's a bunch of different ways you can do this, and I know that using green stuff to sculpt planks or use like a textured rolling pin is a fantastic way to do it. I know you can do it with air dried clay, but I didn't have any green stuff or clay, so I had to just make do with what I had. So I turned to the obvious solution, which was real wood. That presented a whole bunch of challenges of how to actually make real wood planks on the little round base that looked good, but I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and I'm thinking that you guys might be able to benefit from seeing how I did it, and maybe you can do that yourself, or you can transfer some of those ideas to other projects. So this is a pretty quick little tutorial this week. Let's jump over to the workbench and I'll show you how I made these bases. So to start, you're obviously going to need some sort of mini base to work off of. It doesn't matter what kind, just your whatever you use normally will do. And you are going to need some sort of wood. Now you may be tempted to go for a popsicle stick because that's something most of us crafters have on hand, but I elected to choose these coffee stir sticks instead, and I did that for two reasons. One, I think the width of these is a much better scale for minis, but also the wood tends to be thinner, which is going to make it a lot easier to work with in this application than the popsicle sticks. So the first thing I want to do is to take a sharp X-Acto knife and kind of bevel and chamfer the edge of the stir stick, just to give it that, hewn wood look. You don't want this to be even, you don't want this to be straight, you want it to change and look like it was carved a long time ago. It's the most efficient if you just do the entire length in one go rather than cutting up your lengths and then trying to do it. This is a lot easier. So that's that. It's got a nice bevel on the edges. And now we're going to cut this into sections that are longer than your base is wide. So, say like 1.25 inches. They're going to fly all over your work area, and you're going to have to collect them later. And this is what I like about these coffee stir sticks versus popsicle sticks, is that you can actually just cut them with regular scissors. You don't need to use side cutters or anything like that. So once you have your planks ready to go and your mini base, just take some regular super glue and completely cover the base with a nice puddle of glue. And working from one side, just drop the planks across and make sure you are hanging over the edge. I mean, you have cut these longer than the base is wide, so you want that overhanging each way, but make sure when you start on this edge it is also overhanging. The only real challenge here is not gluing your fingers to the base. Now, to ensure that these are really, really well bonded and aren't going to break off in the next steps, I'm going to take the super glue and I'm going to squirt it down the seams. And this is going to bond each of the pieces together as well as bonding it to the base. So it's going to be really, really, really strong. Now you got to give this some time to set up so that your fingers don't stick to it in this next step. But as you can see here, you have the planks overhanging all the edges, and we need to trim that excess off. And I'm just going to use some scissors to get it close. Just cut off little chunks at a time until you get the wood planks almost flush with the mini base. Now you're left with a weird shape, you know, that kind of looks like an octagon rather than a circle. And here is the biggest challenge of this method, finding a way to get a nice round cut all the way around. I don't think there's a way to do it ahead of time and then glue the pieces on. I think that you need to do it this way, where you overhang and then you work this down until it's a nice circle. If you have another method, feel free to drop me, a comment below to tell me what it is. But this is the way that I came up with what was sitting on my desk. I grabbed my Proxxon Rotary tool. This is the 50E. It's a variable speed rotary tool. It's essentially the same as a Dremel. If you want to pick one of these up, you can check out the link in the description, keeping in mind that you do need a power supply for this, the transformer. But the good thing is that whatever power supply you buy from Proxxon, it's the same one that you can use on all their other handheld tools, like the handheld hot wire cutter. So if it's a system you're buying into, you're only buying that transformer once. That being said, you can accomplish this with any similar rotary tool. A lot of you probably have Dremel tools kicking around. They're all essentially the same. I'm just using this one because Proxxon was nice enough to give me one. And I'm gonna use like a drum sanding bit on the end of this. I'm gonna turn it on and I'm just gonna sand away the excess until it is right flush with the base, trying not to chew up the plastic mini base too much in the process. And you can see because this mini base is a little bit tapered out, it's wider on the bottom than the top, I'm using the tool from the top side and kind of trying to follow that same angle so it looks like it blends in. I'm sure that it would be possible to do this the old-fashioned way, just with some sandpaper on a block. If you don't have a Dremel or something similar, it's just gonna take longer. Now you're left with a nice wood plank circle on your mini base, and you now have an excellent surface to attach your minis to. When I was working on mine, I actually cut off the little bit of plastic molded base that came on the Reaper Bones minis so that it was down just to their feet, so that I didn't have some weird mound on the wood. And having this solid wood base gave me a perfect material to both glue to, but as well as pin through. I used the same Dremel tool to drill a very small hole in the base and send a pin up through the minis' feet, making them nice and strong. So that's all you need to do. Attach your mini and paint as usual. All right guys, I hope you found this video useful. If you did, hit that like button, drop me a comment below, and if you aren't already a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. I got new episodes every Friday. Also, if you want to pick up any of the tools or supplies that I mentioned or used in this and other videos, you can head over to blackmagiccraft.ca. There's my essential equipment store with links to everything on Amazon that you can purchase through my affiliate links. I get a small commission that helps fund this channel. Important items that were featured in this video will also be linked in the description below. And of course, if you really want to help out the channel and become a part of the close-knit Blackmagic Craft Fellowship, the best way you can do that is by supporting me on Patreon. I got cool rewards for everybody who pledges support. And like I said, we're building an awesome community around Patreon, and I would love it if you were a part of it. So until next week, guys, cheers and happy crafting.